Hello and welcome to another edition of Osceola Chats. Today we're joined by FSU defensive line coach Odell Haggins, former FSU defense coordinator Coach Mickey Andrews, and former FSU linebacker coach Wally Burnham. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you.
Odell, we decided to do yours a little bit different. All the other coaches we had to get introduced to our subscribers. But you're one of the few people that can go around Tallahassee and just be recognized by one name. So we wanted to kind of do yours a little bit different. But before we get talking to Coach Andrews and Coach Burnham, kind of tell us what you've been up to during the quarantine.
Well, during the quarantine, man, I've been doing a lot of rehab on my knee. I got my knee replaced February the 10th, and so every day I have a slot time to go in the training room and get my temperature taken and make sure my temperature not too high and work for 2 hours on my knee. But it's going pretty well and spending a lot of time with my family when I'm not working.
Well, is the family ready for you to go back to work?
Yes.
Looks like he's had enough time to grow a beard too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, that's one thing about it. During this quarantine, I haven't had a haircut in five weeks.
You don't have enough to cut.
Coach, you're right about that. Up top, I got more on my beard than I got up top.
That's true.
I can loan you some, but I don't know how you look as a blonde.
No, I
got
really
an
keep
extra
it
right
salt.
now.
I really keep it salt and pepper.
All right. Well, hey, a lot of people may or may not know this, but you had some reconstructive knee surgery prior to spring practice. How's your knee rehab coming along?
But it's going well. I had total knee replacement. It's going very well, and the first month was very hard, and everybody prepared me for it, was talking to me about it. But after that, the swelling went down, and Jerry Latimer has been doing a great job with me. I go there 5 days a week. I get me an hour and a half to 2.5 hours a day in there and rehabbing it and treating it and things like that. But it's going very well. I'm getting the strength back. It's the best I've felt in about 10 or 12 years, believe it or not.
Well, that's good, and hopefully you'll progress with the rehab and be back on the field pretty soon. Like I said, everybody kind of knows Odell. All our subscribers know who you are. Anybody that's ever been associated with Florida State. And out of the 5 people on this screen, there's 2 of them that don't belong, and that's me and Bob. So we kind of want to turn this over to Coach Burnham and Coach Andrews. They have known you since you were 15 or 16 years old, and listen to you guys kind of interact. But I don't know whether to start with Coach Andrews or Coach Burnham, but how did Odell end up on y'all's radar from down there in Polk County?
You go, Wally.
Well, I got in on the tail end of Odell's recruiting. Coach Bob Harbison was recruiting Polk County at the time I joined the staff, and he was about to retire. So I got into Tallahassee in January, and of course, I think signing date back in those days was February the 15th or something like that. And so I got to know Odell for about 2 or 3 weeks before signing date. Because I was going to take that area over, plus he was a linebacker at the time, or we thought. And the relationship I started with him, Mickey probably can answer that a little bit better than I can, really.
Well, when Odell decided he wanted to be a Seminole, at that time he had a pretty generous opinion of himself, as far as being a linebacker. And of course, at that time we would sacrifice size in a football player to get speed. Well, Odell had plenty of size, but now every pair of shoes that we bought for him came back in a slow mode. or let me say that different. It wasn't in the fast mode. That's probably the best way to say it. But there's one thing about Odell. He when he came here, he came ready to go. He didn't have to make his mind up about developing work habits. He already had one. He had a coach down there. He didn't play games. If you're going to play for him, you came to work every day. So he had great work habits. And Paul, his coach, he wasn't slack on hitting either, was he, Dale?
No, he was not, Coach. I can tell you this story. I remember we played a game back in 1985. We had a pretty good team. We had a very good team, and we averaged 55 points a game. We had 8 shutouts that year in high school, and we went to Sebring. We played Sebring. We beat Sebring about 40-0, but we had a lot of turnovers and bad tackling. So Coach Quinn asked our parents, okay, he told the parents, he said, well, parents, I get every kid home. Y'all just want to come back with me. So after the game, he told us, we went in the locker room. We had a speech to us about 10 minutes. He said, guys, now put on your pads, put on your helmets. And we put them on, went outside. We scrimmaged for about an hour after the game, and he took everyone else home. He taught us a lesson. So he didn't play the radio. You're gonna be fundamentally sound playing for him. You're gonna be able to run the ball. You're gonna be able to tackle.
Well, that Dale, that was the thing that stood out to us when we watched you on film. You always arrive there with an ornery attitude. You tried to gain possession of the football every time you got to them. You try to knock that ball out of there. And so you brought in some qualities here that not only helped you, but it helped set the standard for players, that were already at Florida State. And I can remember that group. Y'all had a bunch of folks on that team. I'm talking about the freshman team that came in ready to get started and ready to play winning football. Now, were you and Odell, Primetime, were y'all freshmen together?
Yes, me, Dion, Sam, all of us, we was freshmen. Coach, it's amazing. When we got there, we used to meet as a freshman group. We made a pact saying, and we said after that Florida game, we went down to Florida. Florida beat us. And actually, man, as redshirt freshmen, a lot of us was really, really down and tearing up. Never seen nothing like it. We made a pact. Say, hey, guys, Florida State going to be back. We're going to do whatever it takes. We don't care who's in front of us. If you're on 3rd, 4th, or 5th team, we were going to fight that spring. We were going to fight to get a job. And the guys, a lot of people saying we was cocky. We wasn't cocky. It's just the type of young men that y'all brought in there because we had love for Florida State so much. We want to do whatever it takes to start winning those close games that we wasn't winning.
Yeah.
Odell, who did you ultimately pick Florida State over before you decided to come here? Who all was recruiting you?
Florida, Miami, Tennessee, a lot of schools, man. I had a lot of schools on the radar, but, when Coach Bowden left my house, man, I only had one place to go, Florida State. And, I grew up loving Florida State. I grew up loving this school, what Coach Bowden was building, what Coach Andrews then was building, and watching them on TV, I grew up loving Florida State, my childhood favorite.
Well, obviously, having a coach in your living room talking to your parents is one thing, and I've spent a lot of time around, obviously, my dad and Coach Andrews, and being on the practice field with them is quite another. What after your first practice at FSU under these two guys? What did you think about? I mean, they probably their personality is a little bit different on the field than they were off the field.
They was totally different, I tell you that. But the expectation, coming from a high school coach and then coming up here, the working part wasn't a problem. Just the thing, it wasn't a problem. Just I didn't understand the intensity level. Always been intense. I didn't really understand the intensity level that it would take being an 18-year-old to get where we need to get at Florida State University. You got on the field. When it was time to go, it was all gas, no brakes with Coach Andrews and Coach Burnham. And I'll tell you this story I'll never forget. We was out there practicing one day, and things wasn't going the way Coach them wanted it. So they just kept us out there after practice and made sure and took care of us after practice with them gassers. And they made a point. It wasn't trying to belittle us. It was trying to teach us, a young man, about life. And one thing about it, we was going to run to the ball. We would never, ever quit. Because, Coach, I remember this. You, Coach Burnham, the first time you quit, the next time it'd be a little easier. The next time it'd be a lot easier. But y'all made a standard. Y'all made it a standard. Hey, we're not going to quit. no matter what circumstances. And when they got on the field, it meant business. We was out there practicing. When it was time to play, we played, we had fun. The standard was set.
Well, I'm of the opinion that they left you at linebacker. FSU would have a third of buckets award on the shelf, but that didn't happen. Kind of tell us how that transpired, Coach Andrews and Coach Burnham, and how Odell ended up being an All-American defensive tackle after starting at linebacker.
Let me tell a story first. No, they can go ahead.
Let's hear your version first.
Huh?
Let's hear your version first.
Okay. I remember we had a spring practice. Coach, I had a good spring because John Efer got hurt. Had a good spring. I remember one day we were beating our offense up so bad. Let's go back in the day, our offense would not score a single touchdown in spring practice. So we were beating them up, man, just killing them. And one day I was like, Coach Andrews, I can get down in nose guard and wear this old fat center out. I mean, weighing 230-some pounds. And then kept talking, we'll get down there. So I went down there. They snapped the ball. Here we go. Straight in the backfield. They snapped it again. Straight in the backfield. I said, I told you I was getting, before I made the tackle, I was talking noise and stuff like that. And we had fun and just the love of the guys that they brought in that year in 1985. We loved the game. We loved to practice and loved to go out there and play the game. And that's one thing about it. I didn't care where they played me, seriously, because I went down there and just had fun. And, okay, now, Coach, y'all tell y'all version.
Wally, I remember a little bit of that, but that's not the total recollection that I have. It seems like when we lost our nose guard, Odell had worked like crazy, get his weight right, and boy, he was ready to go that fall. And what happened? We had more players at linebacker than we did at the defensive front, and the guy that we was going to put in that position was not going to be quite the player that we felt like Odell could be, and we had to do a little talking, a little soul searching, a little bit of praying. We had to call Mama and get her involved, and it was all about Odell there for a day or two. But pretty soon he saw where he could help the team most at nose guard. And so that's what he did. And of all the things when I think about Odell, besides having a big head, I think about a guy that he bled Garnet and go. And so when he said he's ready to go, he did. And I do remember, Wally, you might tell them the story of what we did to help him a little bit. You remember when we moved the nose guards the two tackles up on the line of scrimmage and backed Odell off?
Yeah.
Tell them about that story because it's pretty unique. It was a different concept and created some blocking problems for opposing offenses.
Yeah, my recollection of all that is, we our defensive staff and Coach Bowden got together and we said, we don't have the person right now that we need to make it a pretty good defense. And so I know that Coach Bowden started meeting with, Odell going over this. And, I know Mickey did, I did, and we went back and forth, like Mickey said, for a couple of days. And we asked other people to move to the defensive line. Mickey, if you remember that. And a couple of them did. We moved them back to wherever we had moved them from. And my best recollection was Odell was the only one that stayed that we asked to move. And so we were just trying to, figure out how Odell would fit in the package and what he could do that would make him, a better football player at that position as quickly as we could, getting ready for the next season. So we kind of moved him back off the ball so he could read the center and not be up there as fast and read the double teams and all those kind of things and pass sets. And So we just kind of played around with that thing for a little bit, and Odell caught on pretty quickly. His recollection of getting in the backfield, though, that 2 straight plays, he ran around the block. He didn't play technique, so we put him in a position so he could help the entire defense instead of getting in the backfield every time when the ball was running the other side of him. But anyway, that's kind of how that story unveiled. And the thing about Odell that I remember was that he was a leader. He sacrificed in that situation. He showed the other players on the team, hey, I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to do anything it takes to be a winner and help Florida State University football. And so we never had a problem with Odell as far as moving. Once he moved, just like Mickey said, he was all in. He was all in and did a great job for us years, and was really the leader of that defense.
Yeah, it's amazing, Coach. You're right. And now that I think back, how y'all set me back a little bit, it gave me. I understood, studying films, playing linebacker. You understood when a guard is pulling and what other guards coming to block you, and what the offensive line was doing, and that. Things happen that reacted so quick for me because playing linebacker, you reading guards, you're looking at backs. And so therefore I knew if this guard on my right was pulling, the guard on the left would come to block me. So naturally I knew that. My instincts told me that. It was amazing. But I tell you, it was a position move, man. And a lot of people say, well, Dale, what if you stay? I say, no. Ain't no what if, I don't regret it. I did things. My mom, I talked to my mom. My mom say, baby, hey, I didn't teach you. I didn't teach you to be selfish. I taught you to be a team player, and and look out for others. Be a giver. My mother always was that way with 4 boys, raising 4 of us by herself, and it made me think about my career when I talked to her about it. And she said, no, baby, you're going to help that football team be the best. She said, I know you got it in you. See, I raised you the right way. In which, being 19 years old, I didn't understand. But then I talked to mom and talked to coach them. Then I said, oh, okay. Some things, being that young, when someone talk to you that really love you and you trust them, you're going to do whatever it takes to help win. You're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to go out there and play relentless, play with passion. I never forget, Coach Andrews, that word passion always stick with me in my life. Y'all should talk about play with passion. Passion is a different word. People need to look that up when you're saying playing with passion, like you never played before every play.
Well, Odell, what did you learn at Florida State, or what kind of influence have these 2 guys had on your coaching career as far as your personality, demeanor on the field, and how you interact with your off the field?
Well, I'll tell you what, my mother did a heck of a job raising me. But when she did. But when I got to school, growing up without a father from the age of 4 years old, they taught me a lot about life, of being a man, and going out, not taking the easy way out, going out learning things and applying it to life. And a lot of people don't know the staff back then. A lot of those coaches was givers. They gave a lot of themselves to we didn't understand at the time. We didn't understand. But as you get older, the things that they taught us, I'm teaching young men now. I've been teaching young men my whole career, 27 years. They taught you respect and honor. And toughness also. And never quit. Never quit no matter what.
Now, Coach, have you and Odell been out fishing in a while?
No, we haven't. Odell hadn't had any time to do much anything. He hadn't been out to be able to see his daughter run and play volleyball or whatever. But we're going to try to sneak off sometime this summer. I don't have a boat anymore. I don't even know if my reels and rods work. But, I remember Joe Kynes and we went with Odell and Jody Allen We went up this lake up there. We had a booster that had a big lake up in Fort Payne, Alabama. And so we decided to have a little contest. It seemed like it was Odell's idea, to tell you the truth. But let me tell you what those two jokers did. Joe's about as straight as they come. And we're out there fishing. I caught a 6-pounder. Joe caught a 6-pounder off the same spot. Well, we come in and we figured, well, we're gonna wear them out. And so when we'd come in every day, every morning and every evening, we always had a holding. What do you call it, Dale? A pin, some kind of
a fish wear.
Fish well. Odell's got all the terms and stuff with it. But they came in and they started pulling their bass out. We already put ours in the whatever it is. They come in there and they're pulling out fish right and left. And when they got through, they about had that thing full. Oh, they were just patting themselves on the back and feeling good about themselves. And so the next day, we're out on the lake fishing. And so one of the guys said, y'all still in that contest? And I said, yeah. He said, well, y'all going to have a hard time beating Odell. And Jody said they came by and got all our fish and put it in their live well. And they had been going around the lake getting everybody's fish. And can you believe Odell would do something like that?
No, hey, Coach Burnham, you know I wouldn't do that. Hey, you got to understand, it's no markers over the water. It's international waters.
Yeah, out everybody's live well. But, we still beat them. I got that trophy here right now, Odell.
I remember that.
Yeah. You probably wouldn't want it told, but we had to tell that story.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna have to get you out there this summer and really put it on you.
Well, I guess so. I'll just have to be in the boat with you to make sure it's a legal contest.
Yeah.
You have to be
hey, Coach Burnham. What you say, Pat?
I said you're gonna have to take a judge with you.
Yes.
You were about to say something, Odell?
Hey, Coach Burnham, remember that time we had it was in the fall. I'll never forget this, man. It was hot out my freshman year. It was so hot out there. We were going to tour day, second prize, about the second weekend. I've never, my life caught a cramp before. So I came in there. I guess I was out there. Probably one of the guys got hurt, so I had to take a little extra rep. So I came in there, man. I caught a Charlie horse in my hamstring, and then all of a sudden I caught a Charlie horse in my back. I caught a full body Charlie horse. I said, "Hey, Coach, what's going on? My body, I can't move." Coach, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I'll never forget that.
Hey, you started hydrating after that too, didn't you?
Oh, yes. I was telling, but I wasn't listening. But I hydrated after that.
Well, that was the thing about you, Odell. Like Mickey was saying earlier, we never had to worry about you giving effort and going all out and being all in and all those phrases that people use this day and time. And that was the thing about your whole group. We never had to coach effort,
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best games I ever saw was on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in practice. Guys went against the offense, and I was amazed that we didn't get somebody killed. I remember when we had Mickey. This is crazy, but we went 7-7 against our receivers and running backs. It was full speed, It wasn't no tag off or anything.
It was knockoff.
Yeah. Hey, there's some toughness. I don't know if toughness was built then, but toughness came out anyway, didn't it?
Yeah. But Coach, I'll tell you this story. I don't know if y'all ever heard me say this before. In 1987, we played Nebraska, and Nebraska winning by 2, 3 points, whatnot.
Yeah.
They score on our 4-yard line. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
They got it down to the 4, and I looked over Eric. I said, Eric, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to time it. I'm going to run off. I'm going to just run off the football, and I'm hit the center and knock that center back hard as I possibly could, and be ready. They're going to fumble the football. And that brought that I always think about that, because we had a mindset when we finished mat drills. You do one mat drill there, you finish mat drills, and you did it the right way. Nothing in the world will beat you or conquer you or make you quit.
Yeah.
And as that play developed, I remember, Coach, knocking that center back, 233 pounds. I still can see it. And all of a sudden, I didn't know what happened. Eric had the ball in his hand. And right there, and that made me think in my life, it's nothing out there you can't accomplish if you set your mind to it.
Yep.
You set your mind to it, you can do it. You got to think it would happen. No doubt. It's amazing. You all instill a fight in us and pride in us, second to none. I don't think second to none.
Well, that all started, like you said, in the match, Dale.
Yeah.
We were going to set that standard, and we weren't going to compromise. You know, once you start feeling sorry for yourself, you want to let up.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get beat. When you decide you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Odell, what's your first memory of mat drills?
First memory, I can't remember. I was so tired. No, my first memory, the guys, they would tell you back then we did the mats at 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening time. And, you know, I was in pretty good shape. I worked hard, you know. But guys said, Dale, it's something you never, ever been through before. I said, man, I'm going to be good. I'm outwork you. I'm outwork you. But when you got in the mats, if you didn't do everything, I mean perfect, if you ain't have your feet shoulder width, if you wasn't buzzing your feet, your knees wasn't bent, you wasn't looking at the coach, his command, you got sent back. I got sent back a couple of times. It's something I've never experienced in my life before. Work. You know, going to getting fatigued, and understanding when you get fatigued, you must keep going and work harder. The standard that Coach Burnham and Coach Andrews them set. And a lot of people now, when they get tired, they kind of get off tilt. But back then, we got tired. We played harder because of those mat drills and the way it was so disciplined. You had to do. I mean, when you came in there at 5:45 in the morning, you had to have your knees bent, looking straight up, your hands around your knees. You had to be disciplined, ready to go to work. No room for error.
All about attitude.
Yep. Attitude.
Odell, do you have a favorite game from your college days? Or favorite play other than Nebraska? I mean, obviously that's a pretty good one. It's hard to top.
It's amazing. I remember, 1987, we went up and played Michigan State. They talked about it. Offensive line was huge. Back then, you know, our defensive line, we averaged. I was 235 pounds, Eric 270, 275, and the Osceola Gabbard, they was about 275. Back then, those guys were 310 up there. They publicized they had great talent, speed at quarterback, and had an offensive line. You know, we practiced hard. We pushed our sled every day, grinding it up. And we went up there and in September, we stepped off the plane. We thought it was wintertime. It was nice. Everybody else thought it was hot compared to the state of Florida. And we got it there as the game went on, man. We played hard. I mean, they was coming at us, and we were so quick they couldn't even hardly blockers or touches. And they emphasized us staying low, attacking blockers. And they had a guy named Tony Manders. He was the 3rd pick in the draft. And those guys, you know, When they get their hands on you, they'll move you, but they couldn't get their hands on them. And then we was just knocking them back. At times when we would move, slant or something, it'll be no-hitters. All three linemen would go in there free. But then they'll be expecting that we come off the football, hit them straight in the mouth, and catch them sitting back waiting on us to move. And the game plan we had, we dominated that team. I think we beat them 41-10. They was Big Ten champions. We dominated them. I mean, simply dominated them.
Hey, Odell, the next year they come to Tallahassee, right?
Yes.
And it was hot in September.
Yes.
And Mandrich, I don't know who was playing over him, but I remember the story when somebody came off the sideline and told the story about whoever was playing over Mandrich said to whoever it was, said, "Hey, if you won't go hard, I won't go hard. I'm about to die out here."
Yeah. That was Eric Hayes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the next year they came down, and Coach Wright, they played in September. We knew, and that's one thing we harped on. They're from up north, we're from the south. They don't get to practice in this humidity every day like we practice in. And we practice our butts off, running out the practice, doing practice, whatnot, which we always did. And by the middle of the second quarter, the game was over. The game was over. They couldn't take the humidity and what was going in the speed of the game. So, we proceeded on and beat them and had a great season that year. I remember that.
Really good team that year, too.
Huh?
They had a really good team that year. They had Andre Rison at receiver, Mandrich at tackle. Percy Snow was a linebacker, middle linebacker, I believe, on that team. Had a big old running back that was pretty good.
Lorenzo White.
Yep, Lorenzo White. And y'all, hey, coaches, do y'all have any favorite? I mean, obviously it's been a long time, but do y'all remember any favorite games from when Odell was playing or performances by Odell?
Hey, well, I can't pick out a specific game or play right now. It's been so long. I'm old, man. I can't remember all that kind of stuff anymore. But the biggest thing that I remember and I can take pride in being part of was Odell and his group would never ever give in to anything. Whether it be practice, whether it be netball, whether it be 4th and 1 against Florida, whatever the situation might be. And that's the thing that I carry with me to this day, with that group. And I say this, headed by Odell, not his big head, but just his leadership and those kind of things that he provided with those guys along with the other guys is what I take away from every game that I ever saw them play.
Odell,
I think you're right, Wally. The whole deal, the fact that they were a talented group, probably the most talented group that I think Coach Biden would tell you, one of the most talented, maybe the most talented group that we signed was his freshman year. And those were the guys that really laid the groundwork for the great seasons ahead. And where we dominated, it wasn't just about winning, it was about domination.
Yeah.
And those group of guys, I tell you, it was fun to go to practice, like Wally said, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Because more times than not, we were practicing against better players than we'd play against on Saturday. But the deal was we got better. We didn't get better from game to game. We got better every day throughout the whole year. And you got to have a special group that will do that will set a standard and never get satisfied where they were. They were constantly trying to be the best that they could be every day on that field. And it really reinforced the deal about, the fact that for every great performance, it was preceded by a great preparation.
Yes.
And I read that one time and I wrote it down and I said, that's that team right there. They never got satisfied. They went out and they loved to compete, they had as much fun during the week that they had on the weekend.
No doubt about that. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you know, and it started in stretch.
Yeah.
It started. They were challenging each other and
Oh man.
going back and forth, and in good spirits. In good spirits, but they knew that day. You know, when those periods rolled around, they were going to be jacked up with, inside the goal. They were going to be jacked up for team and goal line, and some of the best my memories was the 4th and 1 and 3rd and 2 scrimmages on the goal line.
Oh yeah, and the goal line. You know, I still believe the all-season program, the mats and the goal line practices were the things that really where our guys developed the point that they were going to be the best they could be. And you know, we had a little deal with it. We had a little agreement. You let that offense get in the end zone, we're going to run a gasser every time that you do it, because they don't decide who gets in. We decide it. And if we are determined you're not getting in because we're not going to let you. Yeah. And they believed that, and they lived it and passed it on down to the teams that followed them.
Hey, Coach, y'all know what, man? I'm sitting back thinking about y'all mentioning that the attitude and the standard. I never forget, man. We used to be at practice. If I lose one rep,
yeah,
Coach, that rep would bother me to the next day we practice. I would be angry. It's amazing that now that I think about it, and now in society, no, as a coach, I feel the same way as with my players.
Well, you know, it's just the standard that you set, and now are you strong enough to go do that play after play? You know, you may dominate in the first 5 minutes of practice, but are you still playing that hard at the last 5 minutes? And are you strong enough not to compromise? You know, you're supposed to be tired because you're working.
Exactly right.
But I tell you, being tired winning is a whole lot better than being tired and losing.
You know, I think, talking about the tough practices and the goal line practice, inside drills and things like that, I think that's one place, and I don't coach, but I think that's one place where people are missing building with all the spread offenses and no fullbacks and no tight ends half the time. When do you get tough? You know, and that's I think that reflects back on what you guys did to build that. You were put in situations that you either had to survive or get out. You know, so that was a big deal to me.
Well, I think so. And you know, back then, Wally, we always had 21 personnel. We was gonna have 2 backs and a tight end all the time.
Yep.
We'd get fancy sometimes and then put the flanker over there on the split end side and create twins or an overset. But how, you know, mental and physical toughness has got to be, I don't know if it's as high as ability or self-discipline, but it's not far off of it.
That's right.
And if you can't be mentally and physically tough, you're not going to win that fourth and 1. You're not going to win that 3rd and long or that goal line play or kicking game. Look how much emphasis we used to put on blocking kicks.
Oh.
Well, you're not going to do that if you don't have mental and physical toughness. And that won a few ball games around here through the years.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, yeah, you know, back in that, I had a punt team when I was at State, and we didn't practice against scout teams.
No.
You guys got all the people that weren't on the first punt team that were on our punt block team, and we worked against those guys.
Yeah, and so we were working at punt block and punt at the same time.
Exactly. And that made a big difference. No
doubt.
I know people probably think we're old daddies, but that wasn't bad football.
I'll tell you what now, Coach. Coach Norvell, Mike Norvell, that special team, he's serious about offense and defense.
Yeah.
He's serious about that doggone special team too, boy.
I'm glad he's serious about a fullback and a tight end too in his offense.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach, it's something in football, and a lot of people saying sometimes I get up and I do a clinic. I get up there and talk about fundamentals. Football is blocking and tackling and toughness and want to. That is gone.
Yeah.
Odell, I just had a quick question for you. When you stepped on a campus as an 18-year-old, did you still think that you'd have the relationships you did with your college coaches 30-something years later like you do today?
Nah, I didn't know. I didn't know the path God had for me, but I knew how my mom raised me and the people that influenced my life. And I thank them. I thank God for them because the man I am today, and I thank God for them. And I thank God for them because the man I am today, they helped mold me with these coaches at Florida State along my life.
And what was it like as a young coach being around these guys when you started out in coaching after your pro career?
It was great. I'm still learning how to coach. I knew what to do and knew how to teach the technique, but I had to know how to coach and had to learn how to communicate with the guys. And one thing about it, being a young coach, 26 years old, I had to separate myself from coach to player. And I learned a lot from Coach Burnham and Coach Andrews, just watching them, how they carried themselves. They was hard as heck on the field. You would think they didn't like you. But off the field, they would put their arm around you and tell you they love you. I do the same thing today. I push my guys hard. You ask Marvin, Corey, and ask all them guys. But when we get off that field, say, son, I love you. I say, one day you'll appreciate the tough love.
Speaking of getting back on the field, what are you most excited about with this new 4-3 defense and the personnel you've inherited now, defensive tackle from outside, a defensive end like Dennis Briggs? How excited are you about getting back to work with those guys?
Well, when you have big athletes like we have, guys that can run, and guys that can run and they're strong, you want to let them go. Be disciplined, play organized chaos football. If you got one gap, you're going to whoop that guy butt. You're going to get low, strike blockers, and knock him back heel depth of the offensive line. And then you go make plays. You got very good athletes. You want to let them go, but you want them to be disciplined, knowing how to play football, knowing how to get in the stand, knowing what they're seeing, how to strike a block, a hand placement. You get a big athlete doing that, coming off the football with low pass striking blockers and shedding away from every responsibility and playing fast, you got you something right there in the 4-3.
Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up, and Odell's got to get back to a meeting. Any more last questions or comments for Odell or between you guys?
Hey, Odell.
Yes, sir.
Take care of that knee.
I am, Coach. I am. It's getting stronger. I'm getting the quad back. It's getting very strong.
All right. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I appreciate
Odell, I got one more thing for you.
What's that?
You got to whip your blocker. You got to win your gap. And the challenge is, will you go far enough to make a tackle now or to affect the throw on the quarterback?
That's right.
You start part of it, and it's an important part. But the way you attack the ball becomes the most important now, and that's to get him on the ground. I'm going to be surprised if your guys don't double the amount of tackle for losses and sacks that they had last year. That's why we went to that game in the first place,
Yeah.
I'm glad to see y'all doing that.
Yeah, I am too, Coach. I am too. But one thing I want to say to y'all, I love y'all, Coach, and thank y'all for you all effort as father figures, as coaches, giving y'all lives to us that period of time. And I know it took something from you all family, but we'll always be grateful for you all.